Alright. I guess there's kind of big news because Saudi Arabia and Israel are teaming up against Iran, and if you want to know the truth, like, Iran's president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, basically got up in front of the UN and then laid it out for everybody. And for that to happen, that really kind of shows that there was, like, basically an opposing force to some extent, or a risk of things leaking, and the PR basically slammed him. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad should have been able to deliver the truth a little bit better. He was just, back in the day, he was just stating it like, it's all going to come out eventually because it's the truth. But, you know, that's not, you know, it needs to be delivered better. Anyway, apparently, he probably would have if he knew what he was up against. I mean, but then what he was up against was so powerful that it probably stopped him from being able to do so. And then they just used him as a way of, like, making the truth look bad, or people telling the truth look bad. Alright. Now that I'm past the news. No, the situation in the Philippines is really bad. That sucks. And tornado thing is bad. I don't know, I think I saw 6 people got killed there. Okay. Let's talk about the powers that be for a little bit. The powers that be are kind of, the best way to describe it is fickle, unfortunately. And they're not actually fickle. What they are is they're playing a confidence game. So everything is a confidence game. No. Everything is not just a confidence game, but also a route of plausible deniability. So at all points, everything that they're doing, they're always not just covering their tracks, but basically they're in a constant state. Like, they're very weirdly, they're not afraid of the legal system so much as they're afraid of the logic in people's minds. Okay, so if there's a hard line, like if there's a hard statement, which there's plenty of them out there, what it does is it converts people. And certainly I was converted to some extent by the fact that there are those hard lines out there, and, you know, quotes or, you know, audio recordings that just turn people on. They're like, oh my god. So everything that they do is strangely fickle in appearance, and it's also a confidence game, because basically they have to keep everyone thinking they know what they're doing or something like that, so the insiders won't rebel. And then there's also a route of plausible deniability. Well, you know, but let's talk about what's actually kind of stood in our way, besides the Illuminati, you know, besides world governments, besides, you know, some of the most, you know, incredible feats of human intellect and art that has stood in the way. Now, and then it was jealousy. So I knew everything was a PR game, basically. So jealousy stood in the way. Then it was concern or self-concern. They're worried about themselves. Now that's moved out of the way. And now finally, we're at some kind of an impasse of superstition. And, you know, it's just becoming ridiculous. You know, I guess the problem is, this goes in that confidence game thing. When I talk about, you know, behavior as being bad, there's a rubber banding effect where they have to justify that behavior or whatever. But, you know, just don't do that. And, you know, let's get past the superstitious phase of things and just start talking, you know. So that's kind of been the problem. Like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, do I want to make videos? No, because I don't want to screw anything up. Like, I basically have a, I kind of know that I suspect, it's in the news now, that the audience is Insider, right? So, hello, Insider audience. But, I was basically kind of a little bit sabotaging myself too, because I was very afraid of what they could possibly spin me or do with me, and also I was afraid of coming off too awesome or something like that, because I didn't want people to think they were going to spin me like I was like an antichrist. Basically, that would have been really bad. So I had to come off as a very normal person, and I am a very normal person. And I don't know. I'm just it really freaked me out at first to think, like, why is this behavior so irrational? Why is this so irrational? And it was because of that I was able to connect the dots and be like, you know what, this is what I think is really going on. So what I really think is going on is a global blackmail scenario, basically. And then it was like, why is everyone, or why are the people communicating, or I mean, I was sitting there entertaining. Are they still pulling this plausible deniability thing? I'm sure that was the MO, but really it was superstition. It might have been jealousy. It might have been, protection of, not just jealousy, but protection of their world, protection of their self. And now it's boiling down to, no, this is something that is superstitious now. Okay? If people really did have a First Amendment, I kind of wrote about this earlier. If people really did have a First Amendment, what does that mean about... This is scary. I mean, it actually scares me. What does that mean about me? And then, what does that mean about what would then happen to the world? I mean, that's real. I mean, it's not something that that I'm making up or I want it to be the case. It's real, Okay.